If you want to actually build your show and do the things necessary to make it exciting from year to year, I think you absolutely should look at SourceOne. My name is Scott Grams. I'm the Executive Director of Landscape Illinois, so we're a statewide organization for all levels of the landscape industry, and we run an annual trade show called iLandscape, the Illinois and Wisconsin trade show, and we have actually been in cooperation and partnership with SourceOne since our very first show in 2013, and I can't speak highly enough of the relationship, and it's really helped to launch our show from where we started to where we are now, which is one of the biggest Midwestern shows for the landscape industry in the country. When we first started, we actually were owners of a show that was held in the city, and that show actually went bankrupt. And so we were really at a point during the recession, right when I came on board, of trying to figure out what was next. Did the industry still want to have a professional trade show? Was it something that was still desired? Were trade shows irrelevant? And so, we gathered as a team, as an organization, and said, I think we could try to do this ourselves, but we really had no idea what we were doing. And so the next, of course, big steps were to not only find the venue, but then to find the contractor, the decorator who was going to work with us and be that partner. And that's where SourceOne came in. And so it was so valuable to us, being rookies when it came to large trade show management, to find someone who not only understood the job, but also understood what we were trying to do, what our vision was, how we were trying to grow the show. And also in those very first years, that we had to be very tight with our budgets. We had to be tight with our time. We had to understand where we were going to invest our resources and time and energy in. And it was just so great to have a partner that was willing to kind of walk with us through that process until we finally got that level of comfort and confidence to kind of grow the show as we've grown the show each year since. We go to a lot of shows in our industry. We go to a lot of shows outside of our industry. And, we never wanted to be a pipe and drape show. That's the show that we were coming off of. It was a large pipe and drape show. It felt very similar. It felt very, yes, familiar, but at the same time, kind of redundant from year in to year out. And we knew that when we launched iLandscape, we wanted it to feel much differently. We wanted it to be vibrant. We wanted it to be beautiful. We wanted to kind of match the energy and excitement we find in the landscape industry. And so, by having SourceOne work with us and let them know that, this isn't just going to be a question of changing the colors of the pipe and drape every year. We're going to be launching a brand new event almost every year with a new theme, new garden design, new exhibit floor layout. And yeah, sometimes there's a hard gulp by the contractor and the decorator to be like, all right, we can work with you on that. It's going to be a little bit of extra work, but we know what we need to do to keep these shows relevant and fresh and exciting. And so it's been so nice to work with SourceOne on that side of things, because without that, the shows just get familiar, and then people skip a year, and then they skip 2 years, and then you're right back where you started from. So it was so important to us that when we said, wow, that was a great first year show. We did it, we didn't, collapse and the whole thing didn't fall down. But then to go back to SourceOne and be like, and next year we're going to do it differently. It's going to feel very, very fresh and exciting. And you guys were like, let's go. And I think that element was so important to us, and we have never really looked back. Our internal volunteers work on making the show very different, and then of course we stay in constant communication with the SourceOne team. And that comes down to not only just layout, but also it comes down to signage, marketing, branding. Everything changes, and we never keep the same theme twice. Sometimes work with larger contractors that kind of dominate the trade show space. Very rarely are you seeing the same faces twice. You kind of feel like when they're talking to you, they're already thinking about the next show. I never get that feeling or that sense, and neither does my team. Also, I think the trust we have in the trust that SourceOne has in all their employees, and the trust that we have in all our employees, it's like we all start communicating not just at the executive level or the event manager level, but all the people that are super integral to launching a successful show. And that can even come down to the sign shop being able to communicate with our education manager, and they have that familiarity with each other. They understand each other's, how their workflows, their deadlines, all the way up, of course, to the actual on-site team and on-site decorators who are bringing in furnishings, dealing with exhibitor complaints. All of that, I think it's just the names and faces that allow that partnership to kind of spring to life. We have live plant material. We have machines that are coming in and out. We have large machines that could potentially injure someone if they're operated incorrectly in a show floor space. And all of that, those variables, I think SourceOne goes out of their way to not only understand, but also then work with you. So they're working with your exhibitor base, they're working with you as an organization, they're working with your budget, and I think it all comes together into a successful event. We have the next few years and themes already planned, so I can't wait to get started. It's going to be fun.
Amazing.